Hello again, beautiful people. Welcome or welcome back. So I have been working on my journal fodder challenge for the last few days, and I've just been kind of creating things in my craft room, and I wanted to kind of just show you guys some of the things that I came up with. And at the end of this, I will, or not at the end, but like intermittently, I'll show you clips of me putting some of these things together. So you saw me make this DIY folder on camera. It is full of some stuff, so let's go through. The first thing I needed to do before creating any of this was to make my own printed papers. So let me just get these out for you. This, or I should say these, are the scraps of papers. I have been cutting these up and using them with stamps. I've been using them to make little art doll things. But yeah, these are printed papers. They're very, very easy to make. I made these out of a book page with some acrylic, and I will go ahead and just insert a clip of that now. So these are fairly simple to make. You really only need a few items. You need some papers, something to spread your paint. I have an old card of some kind. If you don't have any plastic gift cards laying around, you can also use, these are icing spreaders, I think, for like fondant and things like that, buttercream. These are really inexpensive. I bought them in like a pack of 4 or 5. So you can use either of these, your papers, and of course paint. So the quality of the paint really does not matter. I have a lot of really old Dilutions paint that I'm going to use, possibly some heavy body acrylic that I got on clearance a long time ago, Jane Davenport, and then just like really, really cheap acrylic paint that I found here in Germany. So yeah, the quality of the paint really doesn't matter. This is something you're gonna cut up and tear up and manipulate, so yeah. All right, now as far as papers go, so I have 2 different kinds. I have just a regular sheet of paper from a book. Now this is like the typical paper you'll find in paperbacks. It's a little bit rough feeling. This is a very porous paper, so I don't particularly like using this kind for this project just because I feel like the acrylic paint does not necessarily spread as smooth, but I feel like the acrylic paint just kind of really gets sucked into this, so I end up using more product. So yeah, I did have one, so I can show you what that looks like. And my favorite kind of paper to use for this is that glossier paper that you'll find in textbooks, encyclopedias. All of mine I got from this really old animal encyclopedia. I got it at a thrift store for $0.25. It's from the 80s. It's got a lot of really, I mean, I'm sure it's got good information, but I tore out the pages that have only font or black and white images or pictures that I'm not necessarily going to use later on. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now, some people pull out jelly plates and do all of that, and I could, but this is just like so much easier, I feel like. So just a big old blob of paint, and all you do is smear it. It really doesn't matter how. I'm going to show you it on this one. Now, when you are making your papers, I've found that 2 to 3 colors max works best. Anything more than that is just going to make it a little too cluttered and too messy. So yeah, I try to limit myself to just 2 or 3. and that is my first round of printed papers. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside to dry and just work on the next one. And yeah, I'm going to make these in bulk, probably speed the rest of this process up because it's pretty self-explanatory. But okay, here we go. All right, and that was that. So using those printed papers, I made days of the week, little days of the week. I don't even know what you would call these, but yeah. I took the different papers, I stamped on them with my stamp pad, and then just cut them up to make all of this fun stuff. I also made backgrounds, or not backgrounds, I also made borders, which are here. I think I have footage of this as well, so if I do, I will insert that. I also took those printed papers to make little borders, and these can be used around pictures. I haven't used it yet, but let's see. Yeah, I had this stamp, a border stamp that I'd never used before, and I think I got it from like a Cocoa Daisy thing, and someone sent it to me, so it's not even that like I purchased it, it's just... All right, so like here is you could use it around a frame. I mean, you could use it as a frame around a photo if you wanted. And that was my intention for these. I just haven't used them yet because I've only been printing larger pictures. And then these were the insides that I cut out, and I figured I could use them for something else. I also, my favorite thing that I discovered with these was making little paper dolls out of stamps using those printed papers as like really cool patterns. So these are a couple. I think these are really cool. My February video already came out, like my decorating the month of February, and I used one of these. this was really fun. This is a technique I'm probably going to continue using. Like I said, all of these things are like really easy and really basic to do. And I'll insert like I said, I'll insert clips of this as well. Okay, so fail on my part. I just realized that I did not film that tutorial. So I'm gonna do this really quickly. All you're gonna need is some of those printed papers. You can use, honestly, if you had scrapbook paper, you could use that too, but for the sake of this video, I'm using my printed papers. So I have a couple here. And so I'm also going to use this pad of newsprint paper that I got for $1. It's almost like skin colored or like flesh tone, so I'm gonna use that to make, where did I put them? Oh, here we go. So yeah, I'm gonna use that lighter colored paper to give me the inside part, like the part that I want to show like a lighter color. So for this one I did like for the faces, the skin tone. Okay, so you're gonna need the 2 different shades of paper, an acrylic block, ink, and then of course your stamps. So I have a couple of stamps in my collection that worked for this. I used to subscribe to the Planner Society like many moons ago. And so I used some of these stamps, like there's that one. I have this one from Rubber Moon, and then a couple from Stamping Bella that I got at like a swap type of thing. All right, so let's use a girl with a longer hair. That block is not going to work, so let's use a larger one. All right. So for this, you're going to stamp the same image twice. Once on your printed paper. So let's and once on the lighter colored paper, the one that you're going to use like for the skin tone. Now, I will say that with the acrylic paper, with this glossier paper with the acrylic on top, ink does tend to take a little bit longer to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this with my embossing heat tool thing to help speed along the drying process. Just be kind of careful with it because it is acrylic and acrylic is kind of plastic based. So yeah, I'm going to do that really quickly. Now I'm going to just kind of loosely cut around. It doesn't have to be exact for starters. I apologize for my squeaky chair. I haven't even had it that long, but it squeaks every time I move and I hate it. Okay. So now I have my 2 stamped images. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife on top of my cutting mat, and I'm just going to cut out all the sections that I want to have the skin tone peaking. So like here, I'm going to cut out her face, her neck. I could do her hands, but that's a little bit too small for me, so I'm going to leave it. And something else that I did was I also cut out a couple of the striped patterns in the shirt to kind of break up the monotony here. So I'm going to do that really quickly. this, it's going to be placed directly on top of the previously stamped image on the skin tone one. And now all that's left is to glue it all together. Like, I like to leave these, I don't like to cut them exactly out before I glue them, because I find that it makes it really hard to glue because there's not a lot of surface area. So I like to leave it all kind of together before I trim it down to size, just because I'm the worst at gluing things, the absolute worst. So yeah, it makes it so much easier too when you want to cut it. And voila! All that's left to do is to trim. And you are left with this really cute, one-of-a-kind little collage image. And that's it. Super easy. I do want to try something else while we're here, while I have you on camera. I was thinking about it after when I was reviewing and editing editing my video. And I mentioned that I really like the way that the eyes looked when they're stamped onto an image, so I kind of want to just play around. I'm gonna see if this works. So I had already previously stamped this on my lighter paper. These are Jane Davenport stamps. I got them at Michael's. I don't know if they still carry them or not though. Okay, let's find a spot. Boop. Oh, I probably should leave her hair. Oh well. Okay, so what I was thinking of doing was kind of just, I want to cut out her eyes. So that way she has, oh yes, I love that. Okay. I'm gonna be really careful because I don't think I let that ink dry. And cool. That is really neat. So that'd be a really fun way to use up the smaller pieces of leftover scraps. And then I could use the bottom of this vase for something else. And there you have it. Easy peasy. All right. I did the same thing. I used the printed papers to make hair for paper dolls. These are just obviously the heads, and then I will build the body later on, which I think I've already kind of done in one of my journal videos, I think. Oh, actually, no, I did it in the reverse. Anyway, yeah, so this it's going to be really easy. All I'm going to do from here is just draw the rest of her body and then just fill it in however I'd like. So I have those. I have stamped images of just faces that I can use to make more art dolls. And these are all from Jane Davenport, these stamps here. Now the printed papers, the rest of the things I used them for were just stamping images to use. Like I have, with this you can see it a little bit better, some Jane Davenport tentacles. I did the faces on top of printed paper. And now that created really cool, I think the eyes look really, really neat. So, I'm probably going to keep making a few of those. I think that's pretty cool. These are Dina Wakley, I believe. These like legs and this quirky cat. And then I printed a few, or I stamped out a few butterflies, and I really, really loved how these worked, or how these turned out. All right, so I've stamped images on printed paper. I did art doll stuff, frames, and that is as far as those acrylic painted papers go. The other things I made using sticker paper. So these came out, these were some of my favorite ones. I made little date dots out of just really those little circle labels. I think I bought like a pack from the dollar store a long time ago, and I've just been using these. Like, I haven't run out. So I turned them into, I did these with some distress stains, and then I stamped out the numbers. And then I had these smaller stamps that fit really cool inside the circles. And then I also used them to draw eyeballs. And I did use a few of these. I did use one of these for my February setup. I used it to actually put an eyeball right there. So these were simple. And like I said, these are just using things that I already had. And I'll put a clip really quickly so you can just see how I painted these and figured out what I was going to do with them. one has to be also the other favorite thing that I did. I had some really cheap liquid watercolor that I bought from like a discount store here, and I bought like at the end, I want to say like 20 of them. Very, very inexpensive. I think I maybe paid like $8 or $9 for the whole thing. So yeah, I just played around with some leftover sticker paper, and then I took some of my smaller stamps and I stamped images, and I think these turned out really beautifully. Like, I'm in love. I'm gonna recreate this. I think this is just very simple, it's elegant, and it's, I don't know, a great way to use like my smaller stamps that I bought for snail mail. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to using these in my journal. These two paper ones I don't have photos of or video of because I did these off camera, just playing around. I was feeling really inspired, and sometimes you just create for you and not necessarily for an audience. So I just kind of made these on my own because I didn't want to take the time to like stop and set up things and worry about camera angles. So I just kind of let myself play. So I took this one here. I bought a roll of brown paper from Target when they were doing like their back to school stuff several years ago. I've never been able to finish it because it's like so many like feet worth of like brown paper. But I used some of my stamps. So I made both of these stamps. I hand carved this rainbow thing, and then these were following a tutorial from the COFFEEnated creative, Allison over there on YouTube. I'll link the channel, the video below that I followed. Super simple. You're just using foam and then these wooden blocks, and you make your own really cool stamps. So I made these using stamps that I made myself. And then these I just doodled random patterns. I love the look of color pencil on top of brown craft paper. I like that sketchy look, so I have that one. And then this I made using one of those, whatever you call these, China marker. Yeah. And of course I had to have the bright red. So those are those. And then this, these are just paper on top. This is just, calligraphy paper from Daiso. I bought a pack of 100 sheets and I just cut them down because they're pretty large. So I cut them into smaller sections, and I used my Geli plate for these. Another reason why I don't like to show using my Geli plate is it's so messy. And you need so much space when you're working with Geli plates. It's unbelievable. So yeah, I made these all in bulk, one sitting, just cut through it because as much as unique as these are and as cool as they look, it's bittersweet. Like, I love how they look, but I hate having to clean up afterwards. So Geli plates, no fun, but also a lot of fun. Okay, the next thing that I did, so I've been printing collage sheets for several years now, and a lot of times, and let me grab one to show you. A lot of times when I print them out, there's this strip at the bottom of the sticker page that doesn't get printed on, and I don't like wasting that. I have been hoarding and collecting all of the little sticker paper scraps forever, and they just live in this envelope, and every month I cut up my collage sheets from the patrons I follow, and yeah, they just kind of live in this big bulky folder, this big bulky envelope. So I decided to use that and make washi strips. Some of these I made the backgrounds using my Geli plate. Some of them I did using Distress Oxides, and then, yeah, I think those are the only two ways actually. So Distress Oxides and Geli plates. And then I took those strips and I stamped using some of the border stamps that I own and some of my own hand carved stamps to just kind of like make unique washi strips. So like these were all stamps. And this background here was, excuse me, this background here was just Distress Oxides. I used to love them. Like I want to say at least 25 of the different colors for Distress Oxides. When they first came out, I was like dead set on getting the whole entire collection, and then, yeah, a straight up Pokemon moment there, and I just kind of stopped afterwards because I noticed that with Distress Oxides, some fountain pen inks don't like to write on top of it. It bleeds into the oxide because oxides are water activated. So yeah, and I didn't want to ruin my fountain pens. So I find that I don't use them on backgrounds on my pages as much as I used to for that reason. So they just haven't really been used that much. So this project let me take advantage of what I had. These are really cool. These were little stamps, like border stamps, and then I just cut them out to make, like, I don't even know what you would call these, but I just cut them out to give them more visual intrigue, I guess. And this was from a really old set from like Dina Wakley, I think. And I just, yeah, I never used it. I think a lot, my style has changed a lot over the years. I used to buy a lot of things that I thought I would use without ever having intention of using it, and that is the reason why my craft room is a total mess, because I have things that I just thought I was going to use or didn't think I was going to use, and it's just kind of taking up space. But anywho, yeah, so here are all couple more. I think are really, really fun. I enjoyed making these. The only downside to them is that they do kind of curl. So in order to keep them semi-straight, I have to put paper clips all over the place, which isn't too much of a hassle. It's just like when you want to look for something, you have to take everything out, and yeah. And these were all made using stamps that I carved. I've been trying, well, I've dabbled with stamp carving. I just don't ever, I haven't really like committed to it. Part of me is thinking about using or making stamp carving my 100-day project. Because I think I might, I don't know. Maybe I'd get better at it. I'm not sure. But yeah. And that was that, guys. I don't think oh, sorry, I do have one other thing. Let me just show you these real quick. Okay, so I do have one other thing that I made, and I'm pretty sure I made this one off camera because it took me a while. Well, it didn't take me a while, it just was tedious. So I made my own days. I did this on sticker paper with some Posca paint pens, and you could do this with like regular Crayola Super Tips if you wanted, or Tombos, but I had Posca paint pens, and they've just been sitting in a drawer. It's just another one of those supplies that I bought thinking I would use more than I actually do. So this is the original, and then I made a scanned copy on my printer. Colors aren't as vibrant, but I mean, it's still feasible, it's still doable. So I've made these. I tried doing them on Procreate, but I didn't want to buy an Apple Pencil. I bought like a generic Apple Pencil, and I'm really scared of how harsh it sounds when I touch the screen with it. So I've just been really hesitant to use it. But if I can, I don't know, if I do decide, I just may make my own printables at some point in the future using Procreate. I don't know. I'm still a total noob. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but yeah. So that's why these are handmade on paper. Okay, and what else? There was something else I wanted to show you guys. Okay, yeah. So speaking of hand carving stamps, I did carve a few extra ones for this project. It's not really a whole lot, it's just a few. So I carved this little heart, and then these two little like coffee mugs. I'm like really proud of them. And yeah, so these are a couple of the other ones that I've made. Like I said, and then when I first started stamp carving, I did a lot of them on just cheap pink erasers from the dollar store. Like those long pink ones that you get for back to school. And they're not the best. They're not the best to like carve with because the material, like it's rubber, it's a little harder to get your image or slice through it with your, your cutter. So a lot of these original ones are really choppy and rough, but I kind of like that. I kind of like, I don't know, the messiness of it. I mean, and then the other downside is, well, you are limited in size. You can only make small little stamps. But yeah, I've had these for a few years now, and I actually really like them. And then, well, of course, I've been trying to find other material to stamp carve. I live in Germany, so it's not like I can go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and just buy the Speedball brand as much as I would love to. So I'm trying to find like a cheaper alternative. I think I kind of got it with this one. So yeah, and that is it, guys. If this video isn't too long already, I will include a journal with me at the end. If not, you guys are just gonna have to wait for Saturday's video for that one. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. You all have a good one. Bye.